Good evening. You're watching the Democratic Newsroom, yet another edition. And we come to you for a very somber debate because yesterday what was supposed to be massive celebrations for the RCB, Royal Challengers Bengaluru, winning their first IPL trophy in 18 years turned into a massive tragedy with a stampede at the Chinnaswamy Stadium killing 11. The mean age of the 11, 23 viewers. Just let that sink in. Who is to blame? Where and who? At who does the buck stop? That's what we're going to be discussing over the course of the next 30 minutes. Allow me to cut across to our editors this evening. Joining me, Nikhil Naz, who was in Bengaluru at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. He was actually there when the stampede took place. We'll also have from Bengaluru, Naga, my colleague. He'll be joining us with the very latest. We also have Akshita, Gaurav, Suesha, Anjali, and our consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai. Sahil Joshi also will be joining us from Mumbai. But Rajdeep, first up, where does the buck stop? Who takes the blame for what happened yesterday?
Before that, let me just say that it's terrible what happened, tragic, and hearts and thoughts and prayers with the families who've lost their near and dear ones. This is not a time for a usual angry debate that you have on Democratic Newsroom. The buck stops with the state administration and the state government. Law and order is a state subject. It is entirely their responsibility to ensure that the citizens are protected. So I think the buck stops with the Siddaramaiah government in Karnataka and the local administration that includes the local police. I would also say in this particular instance, RCB and KSCA cannot escape some level of culpability. All of them were in a hurry to celebrate arguably a fantastic achievement by RCB, but they could have waited, press the pause button. What was the hurry? You win at midnight on Tuesday, and by Wednesday you're rushing to celebrate. I mean, you give the police no time really to prepare. So I think all these three entities, but particularly the state government, is where the buck stops. They cannot pass the buck anymore. India will win an Olympic medal one day in a sport called passing the buck.
Well, you're right there. All right, I want to go, first up to Nikhil Naz, and I'll bring in my colleague Naga, who's also joining us from Bengaluru. But Nikhil, first up, you were right there where the tragedy occurred. I remember yesterday when you were speaking to us, you recounted the tragedy of a 15-year-old child, that little girl who lost her life. But take us through, in the aftermath of it all, what did you observe? Who should take responsibility? Because accountability must be fixed.
A couple of things, Preeti. As Rajdeep said, I think the buck stops with the state administration. I hear many people saying that should RCB have even been celebrating. I think that's the basic right of a franchise that's won a title after 18 years to celebrate it. People are saying that why did so many fans turn up? They are fans for a reason. They are the number one stakeholders. They needed to be there. And if you cannot provide security to the fans to celebrate, or even to the franchise, something that Rajdeep said that they could have waited. Why should anyone be asked to wait? I mean, you've got European football clubs that win on the night. Next day in London, the streets are jam-packed and people are celebrating immediately after they won it. I think as a country, we keep talking about, such and such trillion economy and all of that. We need to get our basic structures in place. There was no protocol. There was no intelligence. The fans have the right to celebrate. The franchise has the right to celebrate. You just need to get the system in place. And unfortunately, that is something...
Motorcade is not held in London the very next day. When Liverpool wins the EPL, there is planning. It's not some, the problem is everyone wanted to do it the very next day. It befuddles me. If the police said do it on a Sunday, who said no, do it the next day?
Just make your point, then I'd like to bring in Rajdeep. All right, Rajdeep, allow me to bring in the others.
The buck stops with the police. Were the cops there or not? They were. So if they didn't want it to happen, no parade or no event would have happened. They reached there, whether reluctantly, whether pressurized, whether their arms were twisted. At the end of the day, the buck stops with them.
Agreed.
Sam Manakshaw was asked, can you go to war at that time? He said, no, he can't. When I'm prepared, I will. The buck stops with the cops. You allowed that to happen. Now it's a classical case of finger pointing. And I'll tell you, when it comes to the cops, I saw that because Preeti is asking what was happening. I was at gate 13, which is the VIP gate. There were 200 policemen there, and all they did was, the tragedy happened 50 meters near gate 19. So who is supposed to look after the streets? It's not just about the stadium. They were happy clearing the way for any VIP car to come in. 200 cops just doing that. 50 meters away, nobody really cares what's happening. Crowds are there. And you had the stampede where I was. Nobody bothered about that. All they cared for
the resonating there. You take the state from Karnataka, change it to Uttar Pradesh. at the Kumbh, the VIP entrance, exactly the same stories that were reported by our reporters on ground. I want to bring in Naga Arjun Dwarkanath, who's joining us from Bengaluru. We're going to teleport him here. Naga, you were very excited, Naga Arjun, yesterday. Bangalore winning after 18 years, and then the tragedy strikes. You've been reporting over the course of the last 18 to 20 hours. What is it that you have picked up? Because who takes responsibility for this, Naga? Is it the RCB? Is it the state, the government? Who takes responsibility?
Well, the large blame has to go to the Cricket Association. Nikhil was talking about fans have all the rights to celebrate. Yes, but the fans have to be disciplined also. They were so large in number that half of them were drunk, half of them were pushing the buses, barricades. Is that the way to behave? It was just a mob there. It was not even fan anymore. After a while, after 5 p.m., it was just direct mob. When you have to enter the stadium, there's a way to enter. Everyone's just rushing into the barricades, rushing into the gates. How much can the police also do? Usually in one IPL match, there are around 1,000 or 800 police personnel deployed at the stadium, because there is also 60,000 crowd or 70,000 crowd around the stadium during the IPL matches. Considering the victory parade was not there and all the people would go to the stadium, they were expecting around 75 to 80,000. Hence, the police deployment was also increased by the department. But however, the fans were fans. Half of them were drunk, half of them were just wanted to barge in, half of them were doing pickpockets there. All kind of crime were happening at that point of time, and it was just chaos everywhere. The police also were clearly outnumbered. But yes, the buck stops at the present dispensation. If Mumbai and Kolkata could do it with Mumbai Indians,
no, I agree.
Fans. What are fans
I
supposed
agree.
to do?
I agree. Because Naga, if you look at it, any football match, if you any of the leagues that one has gone for any football match, the fans are rowdier even then. What at least I believe, and Gaurav, I want to bring you in, is because it does seem the RCB, the cricketers, they're nothing else but cricketing mercenaries. They will go next year with the highest bidder. It is the fans that will pay the highest price, and they already have. But Gaurav, your views, quick.
Whoever took the decision to hold this event the very next day after victory without preparations is the person to blame. No one else is to shoulder the blame, not the cricket board. They proposed. Now it's for the government to take a decision. And once you've taken a decision, you should make efforts to ensure that it's followed through. There was so much kabhi ha, kabhi na from all the information that's coming in. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And that's the tragedy. That's the crisis in command. Everyone wants a selfie with the cricketers. Everyone and their aunts and their nieces and nephews, they want a picture with the celebrities. None of them want to work. The police are going with the VIPs. Of course they are, but the police don't have clear instructions. Will there be a parade? Will there not be a parade? Who's to give that instruction? Who's to shoulder responsibility? Everyone wants the trophy and a picture with the trophy. No one wants responsibility, and that's the tragedy in Bangalore.
Sahil, I want to bring you in because Sahil, you're no stranger to victory parades. Mumbai hosted one, a short while ago, and they did it quite successfully.
Well, we had seen a massive parade in 2007 when for the first time the T20 World Cup was won by the Indian team, and it was a massive parade right from the Mumbai airport to the Wankhede Stadium at Nariman Point. The point being here is that who loves the crowds? Basically the politicians, the ruling class loves the crowds, and that's why such kind of big events are organized. What we are hearing at this point of time, I did a show at 5 o'clock on AajTak, and former police commissioner of Bangalore, Bangalore, Bhaskar Rao was part of the panel, and he made a very important point. He said that the police tried to convince the government that let's try and do this on Sunday, because Sunday being a holiday, we will have a better scope of adjusting such a large crowd, because they were expecting large crowds on the streets. This being a working day in a city like Bangalore, we should avoid having these events on a working day. But it looks like that the political leadership also wanted to extract their share of fame when the franchisee team of Royal Challengers Bangalore, which actually has nothing to do with the state, but they also wanted to be seen with the team which had a victory after 18 years of time. And that's why this happened. It always happens when the politicians push for more crowd at the event. That's what we saw in Kumbh. There were multiple stampedes, and that's what people spoke about. We saw this in Hathras when more than 100 people died.
Yes.
Most of the places wherever the politicians are involved and they want to be associated with the crowd, such kind of stampede happens. And finally, I think the buck stops at the people who took the decision of having this event immediately the next day.
No, Akshita, I want to bring you in, but just, I want to give my 2 pence in right here. I feel that life is too cheap and state governments need to step up and take the blame, because what happened in Bengaluru, in Karnataka, is not the first incident. Last month, there were 6 lives which were lost in Goa. Nothing happened. Did the chief minister come out other than say that, we are so sorry for the loss? Absolutely nothing. The same thing happened in Uttar Pradesh, Kumbh. Suraj Pal, that Hathras stampede, 130 people died. Bhole Baba doesn't even have his name on the FIR. And that's all because of political reasons. So if Siddaramaiah needed to resign, then yes, the chief minister of Goa needed to resign. The chief minister of UP needed to step down on multiple accounts. So the buck stops with the state government, and they need to take more responsibility then, or the accountability that is being attached to them.
No, I agree with you that the buck stops with the state government. I'm not going to go into name calling because that's the job of the political parties to say CM should resign and all of that. That's something with an inquiry we'll know who to really point the finger at. But I think very clearly the government was wrong in first going ahead and acting like a fan club of the RCB, in the sense that at a time when you had a stampede breaking out, 1 hour later to go ahead with a felicitation ceremony and then back it up in defending it, saying, look, we ensured it's a curtailed ceremony. Absolutely terrible messaging. And that's where that message comes across, Preeti, that life is cheap here in India, that we don't care. Politicians don't care. And then you have another such event taking place at the Chinnaswamy Stadium right after, meters away from where the stampede had occurred, where 11 lives were lost. It reeks of insensitivity. And that, for me, comes from a place of arrogance, where the government believed that they will not be held accountable and so would get away with holding this kind of a bash, a celebration right after a stampede.
Because successive governments before them have gotten away. Literally gotten away. The stampede in Delhi, the stampede in UP, the stampede in Goa. Rajdeep, before I go back to you, I want to bring in both Soyesha and Anjali. Soyesha, you want to come in first, and then Anjali, you go.
I just want to make 2-3 standalone points. Firstly, ever since this tragedy occurred, the Karnataka government is trying everything possible to shift the blame. If you're saying that it was the RCB that was responsible and they held the event and they should have decided otherwise, DKS also went to the airport to receive the players. So you were there. You can't constantly keep shifting the blame. That is one. Secondly, as far as the Congress is concerned, these were the similar statements that they were making when Mahakumbh had happened. Exactly the same words, mismanagement, there should have been this, that. So exactly what they're saying. In fact, Pramod Tiwari went all out after the UP government at that time. And even today, he said that, as a compensation, you're giving only 10 lakh rupees. Why 10 lakh rupees? You've made so much money in this event of the RCB. You should be giving at least 2 crore rupees to each victim. And lastly, I just want to say, because I was in the studio at the time that the situation was really turning around, and, that celebration, while we were out there celebrating, the news came in that 3 people have lost their lives. That is the point where it started. And even before that, like all of us who were there in the studio, we were constantly putting out this message, people, please be careful, please be careful. You're putting your lives at risk. Point is that the cops were clearly outnumbered.
Right.
My heart goes out to that constable who was trying to control such a huge crowd, that woman with the lathi who was trying to push the crowds away. Right. And in fact, those who were on the ground, Naga and even Sagairaj, said that had they not done that, the situation would have been worse.
Right.
So for the ones deployed, it was a tough situation for them.
Anjali.
For the ones deployed, it was a tough situation, but not for their bosses. So firstly, the chief minister and the government has to accept the responsibility. Secondly, it's your job to anticipate. Crowd was more than we expected. What? You didn't see how many people were taking the metro. You didn't get information over wirelesses that there are so many people rushing towards Chinnaswamy Stadium. We sitting in the studio could anticipate it.
Or the sheer fact that the party ended at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
That there were people out on the roads of Bengaluru till 6
If
a.m.
news anchors sitting in Delhi could anticipate, and we were worried a little bit, how could the government and the police not be worried. I'm sorry, you may have been tired, but you have to anticipate this. You have to worry about the people. You have to protect your citizens.
And you know, cops will always be outnumbered. As I said, there's a lack of intelligence there. The metro station, there was not a single cop there that I saw.
They had to close it down.
Yeah. You know, the tragedy of this country is that we actually have to resort to lathi charge, and we actually say that that's the right step.
That makes things
you know,
worse.
Can I just tell you that lathi charge in any part of the world is for rioters. They weren't rioters, they were fans. The fact that you have to resort to lathi charge and we say it's okay because how else do you control the crowd? Because there is no process in place, there are no protocols in place to manage a situation like this.
Everyone knew. Protocol was also, Nikhil, because there was so much confusion. There was no details given to fans. How do you enter the Chinnaswamy
No, the fact
Stadium?
is, Rajdeep, they want to bring you in for any event where there are too many people in this country, be it a concert, be it a cricketing match, you're on your own. You know, if you survive it, it's great.
No, let's not damn the cops. We've got some, it's very easy to say that lower level constabulary, the way,
I agree
the
with you.
entire narrative is as if the lower level constabulary should have anticipated the crowd.
not
all of that's not going to happen. No, even the blind, let me tell you this, let's do some plain speaking. The fact is, many of these, Nikhil may not agree, many of the cricketers, come from different
One
parts of
second,
the
allow him
world.
to finish. One second, nobody can hear anyone.
Why do you think this was not done on the Sunday and done on the Wednesday?
Because
I
the
asked you a
government.
simple question.
Because the government.
Answer the question. No, not the government.
RCB pressure must have
RCB
been
want RCB's players.
But who's
can
RCB?
push back?
Rajdeep?
One minute.
Who's RCB?
Therefore we come to the
Who's
point.
RCB? It is the,
Therefore we come to the point that unfortunately
Guys,
the
allow
IPL,
everyone to finish.
the
Go ahead, make your
IPL
point.
is at the end of the day a private event.
Yes.
RCB is a private team.
Yes.
Karnataka state government wants to identify with the private event which has succeeded. The brand they want to identify with the franchise. KSCA, which is where the Chinnaswamy Stadium is, also wants to identify with RCB. My problem is, you see, if it was an India team, I could understand that you wanted to do this celebration on such a grand scale. This is a private franchise. It damn well is the responsibility of the state government, of the private franchise, and of KSCA to get their act together.
That's
One
deflection.
minute.
That's deflection.
It
It's
cannot
the
be.
responsibility of the government
You know
and
what
government alone,
we have reached
not
the stage.
the cricket
We have
agents
reached the
authority.
stage. We have reached the stage. If the private franchise and the government had any sense, they would have worked it out together and done it on a Sunday.
Rajdeep,
But such is the everybody
you may
wants
see it as a
to.
private franchise. There are 300,000 fans that treat that team as their own. You may think of it as a private franchise. You may go cheer for an Indian team, but there are other fans who want to cheer
I'm
for
asking you a
RCB.
simple
It's
question.
their
Why
right
was
to
it not?
celebrate.
Sir, you're not answering my question.
did.
Why was it not held on a Sunday?
I want to add something.
That is for your chief minister.
One second,
Can
okay.
RCB hold a function without permissions?
My fear
Can
is
RCB hold a
my
function?
fear is
Who
that
is the only
the point
authority,
that
Rajdeep,
somebody
that can
made,
push back
we have
against the
converted
RCB?
RCB also into an extension, as you said, of this larger fandom. Once you do that, everybody there lost their head.
No,
the
but
government
that
lost their head.
organically.
No,
That's
that's
organic.
One second.
Give me 10
Rajdeep,
seconds. Give me 10
Gaurav, make your point.
Private franchise cannot
It's a
get away.
private franchise. It does not decide. A decision is
Preetie,
taken
even
by
I
the
want to make
government.
one point.
Once the government
Coming
has
to you,
taken a
Sahil, one
decision, once the decision has been taken by the government, it's the government that has to fulfill its
Agree with you.
responsibility.
I
Government,
Did we say
So
that during
Gaurav-
Kumbh?
Gaurav-
Did we say that during the Kumbh?
No,
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
This is what
Come on.
about
No, it's not what about tree. It should be what about tree.
This is
There should be what about
about
tree.
tree.
No, 1 minute.
Talk about this as a standalone.
First of all,
The point is,
as a
when you talk
standalone.
about this and
Ma'am,
you
can
don't
I
talk
just-
about that, that becomes problematic.
1 minute.
This is
That
absolutely
becomes
what about
problematic.
tree.
The Kumbh is not a private event. The event where that Baba Bhole was
Okay,
there was a private event, and
Even
that
then-
is where the problem comes. This is also a private event. I am very clear about it. The state government has to provide the support to them.
But Suraj Pal doesn't-
Two of them should have sat
Right.
together and realized Sunday is better than Wednesday. But players want to leave.
Okay,
go
Sahil
across the
and
world.
Naga,
That's the
Sahil
truth.
and Nagarjun want to
Get
make
you
a
It's
point.
the job of the government.
Okay,
Once a decision
Sahil
has
wanted
been
to come
taken,
in.
it's
Sahil,
the
make your
government's
point.
job.
1 second, allow me to
I
bring in
agree
Sahil
with
and
you, the
Nagarjun.
government, but-
Rajdeep, allow me to bring in Sahil and
Should
Nagarjun.
they
Sahil,
resign?
make your
I
point.
ask you, should people
Sahil,
resign?
go ahead, make your point.
Okay, I just want to add one thing. Here it is clearly we can see that at 11:56 in the morning, the Bangalore police says that we are not allowing any kind of a parade because it is not possible, will not be able to handle it. Again at 3:14 in the evening, in the afternoon, the RCB announces that there is going to be a parade at 5 o'clock. How does that happen? How does that happen? As in, if the police has made it very clear that there is not going to be any
Because
parade, despite that the parade happens. Number one.
Okay.
Number
All
two.
right.
Number two. At 3:30 the stampede happens, and at 4:30 the team is being felicitated in front of the Bangalore assembly by the chief minister and the deputy chief minister, and the government had no idea that there is a stampede which has happened.
I want to go to Naga Arjun. Naga Arjun, allow me to go to...
The request for the function the next day was given by the players and the franchise themselves.
Okay, I would like to bring in Naga Arjun Dwarkanath into this conversation.
Okay,
Naga, you wanted to interject for a while.
To be the chief minister,
Nikhil,
but
allow
it's
Naga to come in and I'll come to you after
decide whether they
that.
want to
Nikhil,
select me
allow
as the chief
Naga Arjun
minister.
to come in. Naga Arjun, go ahead, make your point.
Telangana government, because
Preeti,
we
it
did
seemed
the,
like RCB and the
event
Chinnaswamy
without
Stadium
a-
Association,
Allow
Cricket
Naga Arjun.
Association
Can
never
I get
wanted
Naga
to...
Arjun? Yeah. Make your
Sahil, 1 minute, Sahil, 1 minute. The RCB franchise and the Cricket Association seem to be taking unanimous decision and putting more pressure on the government. Imagine RCB going out to Twitter and saying on social media and saying that we are not being given permission would look much bad than what happened today, and hence the government also somewhere succumbed to the pressure from the franchisee and the Chinnaswamy Association, Cricket Association, that yes, in fact 7 a.m. is the time when RCB tweeted themselves saying that there's a victory parade without even consulting. In fact, I woke up the traffic commissioner saying that, boss, there's a victory ceremony happening. Do you know this? He said, no, we are not. I slept at 5 a.m. because I was clearing the crowd. He said, who said this? I said, RCB has tweeted. How do you know? That's the kind of communication that RCB has done. And secondly, the CM and DCM, I think we're outnumbering each other in terms of PR.
So, Naga, are you saying that the state government succumbed under the pressure of a franchisee? That's what you're saying?
That is even worst.
See,
That is even worst.
seems like
That's
it.
what
And
happened.
no, not just that,
Because
but
that's
also
what
the fandom.
happened.
Because
That's what
the
happened.
fandom.
That's very poor leadership.
That's absolutely
That's very poor leadership.
Akshita, allow Akshita, I'll come to you. I'll
If that's
come
the
to both
case,
of you.
that's the
Akshita.
sign of a weak government, which is why I
Okay.
say that the buck stops with the government. Who can push back against the RCB, Rajdeep? It's only the government. The government should have put their foot down and said nothing.
Suesha.
But Akshita, you should also realize. You should also.
Anjali next.
Club.
Out and out, the politicians wanted to have their moment.
Preeti,
They wanted
Preeti,
this
one
to
second.
happen.
They were
They
a fan
wanted
club.
the
One
credit.
second.
They wanted
Preeti,
the
one second.
pictures with the cricketers, and that is why they made it happen. It could
Okay.
not have happened had they
Anjali.
not allowed it.
Simple. Even after the incident, the chief
Preeti, one
minister's
second, it is
tone,
not
I
Come
don't
in,
think
allow
so was
Anjali
right.
Sahil, allow her to come in. Yeah.
He could have been
Naga
a little
coming. One
more,
second.
apologetic about it. I think only Priyank
didn't even
Kharge was the
cancel
one
the
who
event.
actually accepted
They let the event
responsibility.
happen.
Okay.
No, I'm saying post the event also you can, have a responsible attitude. And just one more thing. 2 ambulances were there.
True.
A chief minister's cavalcade has more ambulances.
As
than
bizarre.
2
Rajdeep, very
ambulances.
quickly, because
No,
Naga
my
wants
limited
to...
point is, I want to know, should this lead to resignations? 1956, train tragedy, 150 people died, Lal Bahadur Shastri resigned. Should people, no, 1 minute. At some stage, are we going to reach a stage where, if we are saying, broadly, I believe that both, in my view, the state government, buck stops with them, the franchise cannot escape responsibility. I'm very clear. In this instance, they cannot. They push to have the function the very next day.
Yes.
Without both, but will anyone resign? Will anyone be a Lal Bahadur Shastri in today's India and take moral responsibility and resign? That's the question.
Because the others haven't,
That's the
Rajdeep.
question. Why
No,
should they-
because the
That should be
others
the case
haven't.
every
Therefore,
time.
it will not happen now.
To resign at a train accident, those days are long
No,
gone.
forget about train accident.
No,
Because
I
in
think
the last 3
nowadays
stampedes,
nobody
nobody's resigned. Siddaramaiah, then why should he? But yes, Siddaramaiah should resign. So should have Yogi Adityanath. So should have the Goa chief
I don't know
minister.
why we keep raising past incidents.
No, no, but
I
Because
think we
you've
should
got
put
to.
focus
You
on
have
one
to
issue.
raise it. You cannot talk about things in isolation.
Absolutely.
I will
asking
only
the
say
question,
this,
that's all.
Rajdeep. I will
Or
only say
should
that I
answer
don't
it,
think we
doesn't
can
I
expect.
don't have an answer.
Okay,
I don't think
Sahil,
we can
Naga,
expect
quickly.
any of them to resign, quite simply.
Of
But
course
having
we can.
said that, I think it's political waterboundary. One, to ask the CM to resign, and second, to raise past incidents.
But should
But how-
FIR
what-
name
I'm just asking-
somebody from the authorities or
Yeah,
not?
one second.
And FIR is
Accused also
put
in this
in,
case.
and the names that are there are RCB. First it's unknown, then it's RCB. What sort of an FIR is this?
And there has been an incident in Hathras where 130 people have died, and Suraj Pal's name, the Baba's name, Bhole Baba's name is still not on that
Let's
FIR.
focus on
Who's
Bangalore.
responsible for that? But
Unknown
Sahil
people.
and Naga wanted to come in 10 seconds each. Please go ahead, and then I'm going to go into a break.
No, I
you
just
say-
wanted to add
Preeti,
think that
Preeti, it is
if
not
Allu
about
Arjun
the
can be
government
arrested
succumbing
for
to the
what
pressure of
happened in
the
Sahil
Telangana.
first,
of
then
the
Naga.
franchisee.
Sahil, go quickly.
No, I'm saying if Allu Arjun can be arrested because what happened in Telangana, the Telangana government took action. There were questions raised on Telangana government for taking action against Allu Arjun. I think there has to be a action taken against whoever is responsible in the Bangalore incidents as well. And wherever such kind of incidents happen, the action must be taken. You have to ensure as a government to
But Sahil, that
have
would
a
tantamount to
proper
governments
action?
arresting themselves.
Please
Naga,
define
20 seconds,
No,
Raja.
let everybody define action.
But
Should there be
Sahil,
resignations or not?
Okay, I will take. Okay, Naga, let's begin with you because we don't have time. Naga, you want to go with the question mooted by Rajdeep?
Should there
What
be
is action?
resignations or not?
Yes, there has to be a resignation. Whoever took the call of giving this permission and whoever deployed the police, whoever did the final arrangements of protocol has to resign. Heads have to roll. 11 lives are too much. There still have to be value for some life. It can't just people can't keep passing
Alright,
the
Nikhil.
buck. The
Okay,
CM,
okay, fine.
DCM,
We don't
Home
have
Minister
time,
have
Naga.
serious
Fine,
thinking to be
Nikhil.
done and heads have to roll.
It's not
Naga,
for me
fine.
to talk about whether there should be resignations or not. What I saw was a complete mismanagement. And I think it also, we've given past examples of various incidents. I thought we were one rumor away from an incident like this in past open bus parades as well. The number of people that turn up, the number of people that reach stadium. I think overall we need to get our systems right, and that is something that it's not just for this particular parade, but overall, as I've seen in the past
Right.
as well.
Akshita.
I don't think there will be any resignations, but ideally speaking, there should be. I think that it should be largely the Karnataka Home Minister for failing to ensure proper management of the situation.
Gaurav.
So I'm against this past instances of whataboutery because it's almost like Amitabh Bachchan in Diwar saying जाओ पहले उसका signature करा के लाओ जिसने मेरी माँ से कराया जाओ पहले उसका signature लेकर आओ जाओ पहले
अरे
वो
वो
कराओ
signature
That's not the
नहीं
way it
हुआ था,
happens.
इसके लिए
Okay,
You
one
have
second,
instance
one second.
right
We
now.
don't have the time.
You
Go
have
ahead.
you have one instance right now. Take action here. Whoever gave permission is the person who's responsible.
Okay. Why I think you need to bring up the past is the present resides on the inadequacies of the past. The reason why the Siddaramaiah government thinks they can get away with it because every successive government in the last 1 year of stampedes, and there have been, you know how many? 18 stampedes. Every government has gotten away with it. That is the reason why you bring up the past, because today resides on the inadequacies of the past.
You bring up the
I want to
past
bring.
in nonsense, which
Go
hasn't
ahead.
happened.
I just want to say that the Karnataka government can't get away in the name of RCB. So even if there are resignations, it can't just be that RCB was at fault and so we are all clean. There have to be resignations within the Karnataka government. I'm not saying CM and Deputy CM, but I agree with you. That should have been a precedent always if they are expected to put down their
Anjali,
resignation.
The
quickly.
government has to take responsibility. They cannot talk like the way they are talking
Okay.
right now. Secondly, RCB, if you're making money off it, some sort of an accountability has to be there. They are making money, they have to pay for their mistakes as
All
well.
right. Sahil didn't come in. Sahil, 10 seconds quickly.
Of course, the government will have to take the responsibility, and the person who took the call, despite police telling them repeatedly that do not have this event on the working day, should be resigning from the government because of this incident.
All right, we're going to end it there because I think at least one thing that we all agree on the democratic newsroom is that action needs to be taken. We might have different forms of whatever that action might mean, but accountability needs to be fixed. And as a channel, we're going to keep a keen eye on if accountability was fixed in this case.